Here's a question from Jeff Ashworth who asks, Wufoo, can a form submission be used to create a project in Asana and populate it with tasks? This is an excellent opportunity to use Zapier's new multi-step Zap feature. First, let's go to Wufoo and create a sample form. And we can call this something like Wufoo to Asana test. Now let's add some fields. First thing we're going to add is a field for the name of the project in Asana. So we'll just call that project name. Another required field for an Asana project when you're creating it through Zapier is a project description. So these two fields we're going to use to create the Asana project. And now we also want to add some tasks to that project. And let's see, Jeff populated with tasks. Yes, Jeff was talking about multiple tasks. So let's create two fields there and we'll say this is task name 1 and this will be task name 2. All right, that's good enough for now. Let's save that form and continue editing it just in case we want to change some things. Now let's go to Zapier and make a new Zap. Let's give this a name of Wufoo submission to Asana project and tasks. For our trigger app, we're going to look for Wufoo, and the trigger will be a new entry. And I've already connected an account, so we can save and continue. For the form, check the drop-down Wufoo to Asana test and click continue. And one thing I forgot to do was make sure that I have one recent entry created. So let's go back to my forms screen in Wufoo and I will view the form and I'll submit a test. So I'll say this is going to be project 1 description, and I'll go back to this field and say project 1 name, and for task name 1 I'll say task 1 test and task 2 test. Just some sample data, and submit that. Okay, so we've got an entry. So now when we click fetch and continue here in Zapier, it'll have something to look up. And why don't we just view this entry to make sure. Project 1 name, task 2 test, looking good. Scroll down and click continue. For the action app, we're going to, I can see Asana right there, but we'll just practice searching for and selecting Asana. And the first thing we want to do is we want to create a project. So click create project and save and continue. I've already connected my account so we can save and continue. For the workspace, I only have one workspace called personal projects. The team we will skip, and here are the two required fields I was telling you about. The first one is the name of the project. So click the insert a field icon, and from our first step, the trigger of new entry, we can see project name, project description. So here are the 4 fields that we put in our Wufoo form, and we want project name here. Now for notes, that's a little bit of a confusing field label because this is actually the description of the project in Asana. So we'll insert another field and we'll do project description, both coming from step 1, and click continue. And we'll test it, create and continue. And we see test successful. And I've got Asana open here in another tab, so let's see if that happened. Yep, in the left sidebar we can see project 1 name, and here in the description we can see project 1 description. Now we're not quite finished yet. We're actually going to add a step. because we've created the project and now we want to add the tasks, which is what Jeff was interested in doing. Not just creating a project, which is pretty straightforward, but then adding tasks to that project. So for the next action app, we can just click Asana, and we don't want to create a project, we want to create task. Save and continue. Same account, same workspace, which in this case is, wait for it, taking a second to connect. There we go, personal projects. And for the project, this is the tricky part. So pay close attention, because if you're going to make a mistake, it might be here. We pull from the drop down and it gives us the choices of the projects that we have in Asana, but we actually don't want to use an older project that has been created previously. We want to create, or we want to add a task to the project that was created while this zap was fired. And to do that, we're going to click on Use a Custom Value. And then that's going to give us the oh so useful Insert a Field icon. Now I want to scroll down. We don't want anything from that first step of the Wufoo trigger. What we want is to find this second step of Create Project. And this is going to give us access to the ID of the project that was created when this zap was fired. And you're actually going to want to scroll down, 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 all the way to Data ID. And that's a bit confusing there for the label. Project ID would be a little bit clearer, but that's what it is. It's the ID of the project. And so that is what we're going to want for this project field. And then the name, this is going to be the task name. So go ahead and click Insert a Field. And there we go. And we want to get the task name from the Wufoo form entry. So that's going to be in the first step, the new entry, task 1 test. And there we go, task name 1. And there's a lot of other optional fields here, and we could enter things here. I'm going to leave these blank. I'm not quite sure what Jeff wants to do with all of these options for the task, but we definitely want to have a name. So then we can scroll down and click continue. And let's go ahead and test it. And we should see, if we go back to this project here, that a task was created. Let me give it a quick page refresh and see. Oh, there it is, task 1 test. So even before the page refresh, we saw it. And now you think, are we clicking finish yet? We are not, because we have another, let's see, in our form here, we have another task that we can add. So we're going to just add 2, but if you had 10 tasks that you wanted to add based on fields, you could do that. So again, I'm making some assumptions about exactly how Jeff wants this to work, but this is the basic way that I would go about it. We can then create another task, and this is going to be exactly the same process as before. Select the workspace we want, and again, we don't want a previously existing project. We want the project that is created when this zap runs, and so use a custom value, and then insert a field. Not underneath new entry, but underneath step 2, create a project. We want to scroll down, 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 down until we find data ID, which is the ID of this project that is created. Then for the name of the task, we want to, from the first step of new entry, task name 2. And then some other options that you could configure, we will leave blank for now, and click continue, and let's test this with create and continue. All right, test successful, and if we wait for a second, we should see task 2 test, and there it is, showing up. Perfect. Now we can click finish. We are done. Ready to turn on the zap? Yes, we are. We'll put it in the demo folder. And there we go. So the Zap is running. Let's test it. The whole thing. Let's go view our form. For the project name, let's call it Live Test 1. For the project description, we'll just say Live Test Description. Task name 1, do something. Task name 2, do something else. Oops. We've submitted it. And if we go to our dashboard, we can see that this is actually an instant Zap, which means we don't have to wait any number of minutes for it to happen. Here in Asana, we can see that Live Test 1 has been created as a project. We can see Live Test Description and 2 tasks, do something and do something else. So Live Test 1, the description, and the name of these 2 tasks were all pulled in from the Wufoo form entry that we had. So that takes care of everything. It's a very basic example, and you could definitely make it more complicated. A lot of it is going to depend on what the actual Wufoo form is and how many of these fields are going to be used in the creation of, for example, the project name. Maybe the description will be the same for everything, and so you wouldn't pull in an actual dynamic field for that. And then there's lots of options for the tasks themselves, and so that can also be edited based on what is submitted here, or it could just be the same. For example, you could assign it to the same person each time, something like that. But that takes care of everything. How to create a project and add tasks using Zapier's very handy multi-step Zap feature.